Sheer Heart Attack Part 2, arguably the greatest episode of Diamond is Unbreakable. Now, the Sheer Heart Attack arc is already a prime example of suspense and tension, character development, intentional misdirection, and foreshadowing. But Part 2 is just the height of it all and is definitively one of the highest climaxes in the series altogether. Firstly, throughout heaven and earth, Koichi alone is the goated one. Now, Koichi had already been taking significant strides in his development, but here we see who he planned to be and why he is the reliable narrator of our story. Unlike his earlier actions that unintentionally led to Jotaro's injury, Koichi now takes a calculated and courageous stand against Kira, showing his maturity and sense of responsibility, because it takes a lot to know when you're wrong, and it takes even more to do something about it. Koichi's evolution is not only in his attitude but also in his abilities. His use of echoes is an important example, because by using this new power, Koichi effectively messes with the mask that protects Kira from attention, and this forces Kira to reveal himself. And then there's when he faces Kira, standing on goddamn business. No fear, no hesitation. Everyone that Kira has ever wronged, everything he's ever did, Koichi takes it upon himself to be the justice that takes him down. Now, of course, Killer Queen overpowers him in physical strength, but he loses the physical battle to win the mental war. Koichi achieves a powerful success by stealing Kira's wallet and unmasking his identity. This action rattles Kira to the bone, breaking through his composed facade and causing him to act to what we would consider irrationally. This moment is crucial as it shifts the dynamic of their encounter. Koichi's actions reveal a deep understanding of their situation, showing that sometimes outsmarting an opponent can be more effective than just outright overpowering them. Jotaro's acknowledgement of Koichi as the true winner of that fight encapsulates the essence of this transformation. Koichi grew so much in such a short amount of time and became one of the only people who had truly defeated Yoshikage Kira. This victory is a defining moment for Koichi, solidifying his status as a critical protagonist whose strength lies as much in his mind as in his stand abilities. Here's an off-script thing I wanted to add in too, because it doesn't fit exactly into my connecting statements with each section, or I guess the foreshadowing point it does, but I did want to make a note of this. Notice that when Kira believes he's truly safe, he acts in that comfortable, sadistic way that he's grown to enjoy. His father has allowed him to be a weird serial killer, and because of that, he indulges in whatever scratches his brain anytime he's comfortable. That includes how severely he beat Koichi and disrespected him, how he cleaned him up, and even how he fixed his socks. You can connect this to the foreshadowing point later in the video, but it is really interesting, yeah. And it speaks to Kira's idea of peace, which isn't peace in general. It's peace to be the sick guy that he wants to be. Now, one of the reasons we can appreciate Koichi's involvement in this episode is that he effectively tackles the overarching tension that the series has been working up to. This episode alone uses a narrative technique akin to Alfred Hitchcock's analogy of suspense, the bomb under the table. Alfred Hitchcock once explained the essence of suspense using the analogy of a bomb hidden under a table. If the bomb explodes unexpectedly, it shocks the audience. That's surprise. But if the audience knows about the bomb while the characters don't, their anticipation and concern create a gripping suspense. This analogy is exactly the suspense that Sheer Heart Attack Part 2 tactically uses. Now, in the episode, the bomb is the omnipresent threat of Yoshikage Kira. One of the notable aspects of the story is that the audience is constantly on edge due to the looming danger that Kira possesses. We've been taught that once Kira has his eyes set on an obstacle, he's willing to go to any extent to wipe it off the face of the earth. Now, one of the notable aspects of the story is that the audience is constantly on edge due to the looming danger that Kira possesses. Even though our characters are far from as informed of the extent of the threat that Kira is, the audience can perceive the gravity of the situation and the potential consequences that they could face. This knowledge creates a tension-filled atmosphere where the audience constantly anticipates Kira's next move, heightening their engagement with the narrative. Now, the episode skillfully builds anticipation through its plot developments, because as Koichi's confrontation with Kira creeps closer and closer to its eventual event, and the gang races to capture Kira, the entire tension is escalating. But suspense and tension aren't the only things that are brought to the table. It's intertwined with the art of intentional misdirection, a narrative device that keeps viewers continuously guessing and reevaluating what they know. This creative use of misdirection is not just a tool to keep the audience engaged, it's also mirroring the character's experiences of uncertainty and deception. A great example of intentional misdirection in the episode occurs during Koichi's apparent defeat at the hands of Kira, like we said earlier. On the surface, it seems like Koichi has been overpowered and beaten, which he was. However, Koichi manages to steal Kira's wallet, including his ID, and this is a completely unexpected move and turns into what we thought was a loss into a tactical advantage. This act of misdirection serves as a dual purpose because it's not only surprising the audience, but it also significantly advances the plot by finally revealing Kira's identity to our cast. And while yes, Koichi's defeat is more than it appears, Josuke's interaction with Kira presents another layer of misdirection that adds depth to the situation. It begins with Josuke and Okuyasu towering over Kira, leading the viewer to believe that he's completely done for. It's over. But Kira flips the entire script by playing completely dumb, pretending to be a civilian who got caught in the crossfire. And initially, when Kira asks Josuke to help him, it seems like an unexpected request for mercy or a trap. But, and he clarifies, he asks Josuke to heal him, not realizing that every word spoken matters. Because Josuke's sharp realization that Kira has inadvertently revealed his knowledge of stand abilities changes their entire interaction. Even Okuyasu didn't clock that. Well, I mean, yeah. But then the story takes a sharp turn with Kira's drastic action when cornered by Josuke and Okuyasu. This is the most dramatic instance of misdirection here, which is Kira severing his hand and escaping. In a desperate move, Kira cuts off his own hand to free himself from Josuke and Okuyasu's grasp, and this action is completely shocking and unexpected. But it also shows us Kira's willingness to go to extreme lengths to protect himself and his anonymity. This moment of misdirection not only adds, visceral shock, but it also emphasizes the unpredictable nature of Kira as an antagonist. It also spins back to the use of sheer heart attack, and while we had just recognized sheer heart attack as a completely indestructible stand, Josuke mitigates all of that by not dealing with it entirely with Crazy Diamond's restoration. And finally, the scene at Aya's store, Cinderella, is just a straight up masterclass in narrative using everything that we've mentioned here. Suspense, tension, misdirection, and adding on to that, foreshadowing to create a brilliant climax. As the group arrives at Cinderella, the atmosphere brims with tension and suspense. With its eerie quiet and anticipation of Kira's presence, the setting grips the audience. The viewers are torn now too. Just like the characters, we have to choose between the urge to save Aya and the desperate need to continue to pursue Kira. But even when trying to do the right thing, Aya is revealed to have been turned into a bomb by Kira. The audience, already on edge from the ongoing suspense and previous misdirections, faces the horror of Aya's fate. And when the Morio warriors finally get past that door, a shining light is revealed to us. The rest of Morio. He escapes. They don't know what they're looking for, and He'd never continue to exhibit similar traits in a situation like this because Kira is going to do what he does best. Pretend and hide. Also, like, fun little tidbit, you know, like all the little minor antagonists you see over there? Like, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. You know? You get it. This episode is a great example of how to write thrilling mysteries in animanga. It respects the viewers by avoiding an over-explanatory narrator and working with the whole show don't tell type of storytelling. It challenges you to keep up with the details and toys with your heart by constantly putting our beloved characters' fates on the line. And Jotaro surviving after his body was just completely destroyed by sheer heart attack and still managing to put the beat down on Kira? Like, come on, man. It's amazing. And I'm excited to find out which other episodes match this level of writing. But yeah, Sheer Heart Attack Part 2 is a great example of masterful storytelling, and the adaptation of these back-to-back chapters was just amazing, leaving it on one of the best cliffhangers I've ever seen. If you want to see any other specific episode reviews of not only JoJo, but episodes in general of whatever, you know, feel free to leave a comment.